Hello and welcome to Blood on the Tamesis, the Prelude of Theodore Penn. So with me today is
Carlos.
and Carlos is playing Theodore. So this is a special episode which is going to give you a bit of an insight into one of our characters before they were a vampire. All right, so let's get started.
Cool.
So it's worth saying with Theo that although he was born Theodore Penn, of course, it is not a name that you have used for many, 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 many years, having taken your brother's name, Clarence, so that you could sign up to the army for World War II. And then later, when you left the army in a slightly unofficial manner,
Very slightly.
and ended up in Japan, taking on the name of Ken.
Ken Jones.
And it is now the year 1998. It is June. It is the 15th of June. And you have been serving for decades as a ghoul. And over that time, you haven't aged a day since you've been on the blood. So if you can give people an idea of what you look like.
Okay. So Theodore, Ken in this case, is a man on his late 30s, probably early 40s. He has a very a very well-toned physique. He's not like a super muscly or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of a former Marine kind of thing. He keeps himself trained. He has black hair, blue eyes, so like a very strong jaw, but not like a massive one. It's this sort of very jaded war veteran look, always very imposing, like imposing frame, imposing figure.
So it's worth saying, of course, at the moment, there is a war between the Camarilla and the Sabbat that is raging in Tokyo, and you are part of that war. And on June the 15th, you have recently returned from your duties to your domitor, which have been, shall we say, most violent. And you have returned home, and after that time of violence, there is a quieter time. So the sun is just about to start rising, but not yet. Your master and the other vampire that lives in this home, Naoto, his child, are returning to sleep. And for a time, you are free of their demands, and you are free of that need to be with them and to please them and to do what they say. So the sky is slightly grey outside of the window, and you have returned to your bed, but you find you have not been there long when Miyuki slips in to join you, and no words are exchanged between you, but you slip into each other's arms and find a little solace together in that quiet time. You find yourself in bed, having stolen a moment of peace. You're aware that she's also awake, although neither of you are speaking at this moment, kind of lying on her side next to you. Her fingers are kind of toying with the hair on your chest, kind of idly, and you can see the silhouette of like her hip against the window.
How was your day?
Long.
Are you hungry?
Even in the poor light, you think you see her smile. She says, "What are you going to make me for breakfast, Ken?" She swirls her finger again on your chest.
How about pancakes? We haven't had pancakes in a while.
Pancakes?
Yeah.
I love pancakes. She stretches. It will be nice to stay like this. She says, "Listen. Do you hear? It's quiet. It's just us, Ken.
Okay.
Just us. I like to pretend it's just us. But we can't stay like this forever.
Maybe someday.
Do you know why, Ken?
No.
Because the pancakes will not make themselves.
I slap her on the cheek, on the side, and stand up. Go to my.
She looks mock offended.
Just throw a robe in, sort of like a long robe on, and they just walk to the kitchen to start making pancakes.
So you start to cook, and after a while, the smell of the cooking kind of lures her, a little bit like a cat, into the kitchen. She will also be wearing a robe now, with quite a kind of pretty floral pattern. In the light, of course, you can see that she is quite a petite Japanese woman. She looks to be in her 30s, probably early 30s, but you know that both in terms of her real age and the age at which she was on the blood, she's slightly older than that. But she's just one of those people that's got good genes and kind of gets away with it.
Age is grace.
She has brown hair, which normally she wears up, but at the moment it's just loose. And she's trying to look like she just happens to have come into the kitchen for something. But you're aware that whenever you're busy, she'll start to kind of look at what you're doing and be quite kind of...
I'll try to make it like a secret.
Yeah.
Shield it from her.
So she'll probably appear kind of at some point like more kind of close at your side. And she'll be saying, "How long, Ken? How long?"
How many do you want? You want a large stack or a small stack?
You know I wouldn't want a large stack.
Okay. So then maybe 2 or 3 hours. I'm kidding, 5 minutes.
She gives you a slight tap on the arm like, "You're mean to me, Ken."
Let's get some juice. Get some fruit juice.
So you prepare the pancakes and she gets juice and you have like a nice breakfast together. There is a point at which she's partway through and she says, "This stack is too small."
I give her a couple of mine to increase her stack.
Now she smiles at you and she'll give you a kiss on the cheek.
You always do the same to me. You say you want a small stack, then you want a large stack. Who gets you one?
She says, "I'm eating." And then you share a nice breakfast together.
Do you have a long day ahead of you?
She says, "I always have a long day ahead of me, Ken." Do you?
Well, I have no instructions for the day.
Then you can help me.
Great. I think I threw myself in there, right?
You like helping me.
Yeah.
So you enjoy a nice breakfast and then you both go and prepare for the day. And once she's kind of got herself properly ready and dressed and done her hair and kind of prepared herself, some of that playfulness goes down a little. It's still there, but she becomes much more the professional doing her work. She will give you odd little jobs to do, to fetch things or whatever. And so you will find you kind of intersect with her through the day as you're both carrying out your tasks. And of course, the sun rises in the sky and time ticks on. And you will notice every so often as you pass each other, it might be that you'll give each other a smile or a little nod or something. But her eyes will often move to the sky, tracking the progress of the sun. And that kind of smile fades a little bit as the hours pass. And inevitably, there comes a point where the sun begins to set and a tension just kind of sets in. Nothing is spoken. She's still doing everything as she would, but you know it and you feel it. And now her attention's not just going to the sun, but also to a particular part of the house where you know that Naoto resides. Because whilst you, of course, serve the master of the house, Imago himself, she serves his child. And eventually you hear a voice as the sun sets coming from that place. "Miyu-chan! Miyu-chan!" And she rushes. And despite whatever tension or apprehension you've seen in her, nevertheless, she rushes with a strange mix of tension but also eagerness, without really a backward glance, in fact. she pauses, like almost like she's going to look back at you, but she doesn't quite. And then she's gone, and the door shuts. And
Start approaching Amagodono's room.
okay, so you go to the door, and you wait, as is the custom. And about another half an hour, maybe an hour passes, and then you hear a click of the lock on the inside, and the door opens. And the old man, Kido Bakin, is there, hunched double, and he says, Amargo will see you. Sorry, he says, Amargo Dono will see you now.
Thank you, Kido-sama.
And he steps aside for you, but he doesn't follow you down. And you make your way down. Obviously, this is a very nice house, but this is a set of very old steps that have been dug out many, like you don't even know how long ago. In fact, you don't know how long Kido Bakin has served, for that matter. You know it's over 100 years, for sure. You know he is ancient. And you have the vaguest of ideas about how old your dormitory is.
Oh, yeah.
And you know it is old. And you make your way down the steps. The candles have been lit, freshly lit down here. So there is only a kind of flickering natural light as you descend the stairs. There is a beautiful shoji panel, which upon it has a symbol of 4 black diamonds. Within the center of each diamond is a white diamond. And they themselves are arranged in a diamond formation. And you know that sign. It's the sign of the Amargo family. And you slide it and you approach. Inside a fairly, although the walls are beautifully decorated and wood panelled, it is a fairly Spartan room. And it kind of draws your attention towards the figure that resides in the middle, who kneels on a raised platform, like a statue. He is a man who appears to be in his early 30s. He's tiny, actually. I mean, he's maybe 5'4", you think? But of course, raised on the platform, and with your relationship to him, he seems nothing but huge. His presence is huge. He has a very old traditional hairstyle. His hair is kind of shaved short at the sides, shaved completely at the front and the top. And the hair is kind of folded and arranged to fall neatly across the top. He's wearing a kimono with broad shoulders, which again looks like something out of ancient history. And he sits with his kind of fists resting on the top of his thighs. His eyes are closed, and he does not move. You know him, of course, as Amargo Takahisa, or Amargo Dono. What do you do?
I approach him, kneel, with my forehead to the ground.
Ondai Dono.
And just wait until he addresses me.
And you wait for a few moments, and his eyes open. Is it done?
Hi, it is done, Master.
Good. You have served me well for many years. Tell me, Ken-san, to whom do you owe your life?
To you, my lord.
And what would you do for your lord?
Everything and anything. Have I displeased you in some way, Master?
No. You know that I hold your life in my hand, and it is from my blood that your life extends.
A gift that I am most grateful for, Master.
It is painful to me that I must ask something of you. I want you to know that I do not ask it because I am displeased, but because I have a need. And you must serve that need, though it may pain you.
Anything.
The war has gone on too long. though you have been my tiger and fought well, it is too costly. We must bring things to a close.
Agreed.
There are allies I wish to bring from the west, but of our blood. For this, Ken does not serve. He is a name that has no power in the West. I need a name that will be recognized, that will pass their scrutiny. And Clarence Penn is much older than you. Do you understand?
Yes.
You will come off the blood. You will endure its changes. And when you are done, you will travel to England, where you will impress upon my allies the need for them to come here. You will assist Naoto, for it is his task. But you must pave the way. You must smooth the path for him.
Is there any other way, Master?
If there was another way, do you not think I would take it?
Yes, Master. Forgive me. I spoke out of turn. Leave. A bit nervous and a little disappointed of myself.
So, you feel it. You feel it. Even when you leave his presence, you feel that all of those things you've done the previous night, that moment of pleasure when he acknowledged you'd done the task well, is wiped out in an instant by the fact that you've misspoken. Feels like years of work have kind of been undone in an instant and shredded. And you don't see him for some nights after that. And although you don't exactly keep a calendar or a clock on it, you feel that thing of normally around now you would be seeing him, he will be giving you some of his blood, and you would not only was it an extremely pleasurable thing, but also it's a relief. It's that pressure that you feel building will go. And as the time starts to approach, Kido Bakin will have you confined to your room, and the orders are that no one is to come in until he is satisfied. However, as you begin to sweat and you feel a little bit like you're coming down with a fever of some kind, someone does come in. It's Miyuki. And she comes in quietly, carefully, like she's kind of like a naughty girl coming in. She has a little bag with her. She slides the door shut and comes and sits with you. And she says, "Oh, Ken."
All will be okay.
She is out. She's got like a little bowl with water and like a cold cloth. And she begins to dab at your forehead. And she'll make you eat. And she'll fuss around you. It's hard to eat. I mean, you can eat, but it just doesn't taste of what you need. Your body's telling you it's not what you need. It's not what's essential. And you can feel something starting to happen. But Miyuki stays with you and she tries to comfort you. How are you? Is there anything you're trying to do to deal with this?
Back to smoking.
Yeah.
Definitely. I probably will try to occupy my mind with something. It's just sitting down and reading, and then keeping active. Maybe doing some exercise, like when you are locked in a room and then you find yourself doing push-ups or doing things like that. Trying as best as I can, even if Miyuki's there, like practicing holds or whatever. Well, teaching her holds or whatever, like anything and everything. But since I'm here, oh yes, I will ask Kido Sama if he knows of anything that can help me ease the pain. I've heard of opium, but Amagodono doesn't like it. So.
Yeah, he won't give you opium, but he will get you some like calming teas.
Yes,
and
whatever.
And who knows? Maybe he puts something in the tea.
Whatever
Maybe he doesn't.
me.
But it does seem to help a little. So you can feel that tension building. You can feel it getting worse. You spend a couple of nights like this, and each time you think, I think I've done it, and then it's not, and then it gets worse. And maybe it's like 3 nights from when things have reached their peak. Miyuki is with you, and you're feeling very shaky, very weak now. You're not feeling able to like push ups and things like that anymore. You've started to kind of sit more into a weaker state.
Run out of breath or something.
Yeah, and Miyuki is at one point takes your hand, and she's like, "Look, Ken-san." She points. She says, "Now you have color like the tiger too." And there's a single white hair on the back of your hand that you see that wasn't there before. She says, "I like it." She says, "It makes you look distinguished."
I don't feel well, Miyuki.
She says, "I will be here." She dabs your forehead.
Why is the master punishing me like this?
"I don't know, Ken. I don't know. But you must serve him. You must serve him, or worse will happen." The shoji slides open behind you, and Naoto
Oh shit!
stands there. So he looks like he is in his maybe late 20s, early 30s. He's normally very smartly dressed, but you don't think he's been up that long. He's wearing just a kind of open shirt. He's got very pale skin. He's got dark hair, which is worn kind of slightly long in a side parting, flicks over one side of his face, kind of frames it very artfully. And he stands there. He's quite a small man as well, but kind of like perfectly arranged, very neat normally. And even in this kind of, he's got like a scruffy look. There's a sense it just looks good on him. Like maybe he's arranged. You don't know, but he looks good. Anyway, he looks down and he says,
like all scruffy, he's looking better than I will ever look, even if I make the effort. Yeah.
He's barefoot. He's wearing just some loose trousers, and he says, and even before he's spoken, because you see him, because you see Miyuki tense, and he says, "Miyu-chan," he says, "I've been calling, and calling, and you have not come." And she turns and presses her head down, and she says, "Oh," she says, "Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me." And he says, "We will consider your punishment later." He says, "But you have displeased me."
I just put my knuckles in the ground. It was my fault.
He says, "Ken-kun, don't bother yourself. Sit, you are tired. I will deal with Miyu-chan myself. Up, up." And she stands up. He says, "Now," he says, "return to my chamber. I will deal with you when I come back. And remember, Ken-kun is to be left alone. That is the order. You would not want him to know that you have disobeyed his order as well as mine, would you?" She shakes her head. He says, "Now go, now go." And she scurries out. He comes and looks at you. He says, "Don't look so sad, Ken-kun. I have come to give you a gift. Something to help you. through this difficult time. He comes and sits down. So he's kind of on, like, not quite on your level, but certainly so he can look you in the eye. He says, oh, he says, the fever is bad. Ah, I think I see a wrinkle. Oh, such a shame. Such a shame. He says, but this is something you will not want to forget. Time of change. Here. He hands you something. It's a small hand mirror.
Look at myself.
You look at yourself, and you do look a little different. Not radically so, but now when you look, you can see that maybe the eyes crinkle slightly more at the corner, little beginnings of crow's feet. There is just maybe a slightly different complexion to the skin. It's hard to put your finger on, but it is quite shocking. He says, enjoy every moment, Ken-kun. You can tell us all about it when you're done. He says, now if you'll excuse me, I have some naughty people to take care of. I won't enjoy myself too much. The enjoyment should be all yours, Ken-kun. All yours.
Just put the mirror away and wait.
He says, no, I insist you must look. You must look. You would not turn down my gift, would you? Better. I'll see you soon. He gets up. He sweeps out. What do you do once he's gone?
Call for Keto.
Okay, you call for Keto. Keto will come.
Keto-sama, please. I need your tea.
I'll get it. Goes out. He will nonetheless bring you tea. He will bring you these things. It helps less and less. Do you use the mirror or do you not?
When I finish my tea,
yeah,
I actually have the mirror and my tea.
Yeah. I'll use it as a coaster.
And then hand it over to him. If he takes mirror and all, I'll be happy. If not, that will be my new coaster.
He will take the mirror away.
Yeah, poor old man Keto. His sight is not as good as he used to.
Yeah. So now it really does kick in. You spend some time, you lose track of exactly how much, but shivering, shaking, your face does change. You can't see it, of course, but you are aware of your hands changing. You see another couple of white-grey hairs. Also, the skin becomes kind of slightly looser around the knuckles. You feel that kind of strength, that youthful strength you never really appreciated. You just feel it slip away. You know, normally people have that over years and years, and it's a subtle thing, but this is an immediate thing. And when you finally come to yourself the next day, everything just feels that little bit harder. It's not that you're not an invalid, you're not unable to do things, but everything's just that bit more effort.
Like standing up from the futon in the ground.
Yeah, and you just feel like a weight has settled on your shoulders, and indeed your stamina has gone down a point from what it was. Mechanically speaking, it's as painful as it is to do to your sheet, it is for your character to experience that. And you are brought back to Amargo Dono, and he will be waiting. There will be a cup waiting for you to drink. And when you sit, he says, yes, this is as it should be. Drink. And you drink.
Like, it's gorgeous, like making very sure that not a drop is spilled.
And it
but
is
as fast as possible.
The best it has ever tasted. And you feel, there's some bit of you worried that maybe things would get worse maybe things will get worse, and that sense of relief comes, that sense of strength comes back with it. You feel immediately much more yourself. And you're dismissed shortly afterwards. With the words, return with good news.
Hi, one day, Donald.
So the way this is going to work is that you are sent to England initially to just seem to do mundane business. You will meet with various people. There will be papers that you have to sign. It almost seems ordinary or normal in a sense. But you are aware that what this is like the beginning of a checking things out and getting established. And what you're doing is you're establishing a reason for you to be in certain places at certain times without raising any eyebrows. You're aware that Naoto will be following up. And
I'll be using now the name of Theodore Penn.
No, you'll be using the name of Clarence.
Oh, Clarence. Yeah,
because you're
aged, yeah.
You're aged,
old.
and you are still using your stolen brother's identity at this time.
Wow.
So everyone will be calling you Clarence.
Cool.
And the day comes where you're aware everything is in place. Naoto arrives from Japan. He does not, of course, have... he's not officially here.
Okay.
You are handling the official side of things. This time when he arrives, he is dressed in a very smart suit with a mandarin collar, and he just looks slick. He looks almost like he could be in some kind of Japanese boy band, you know. And his hair looks like it's just been casually arranged, but it just falls perfectly across one side, just kind of cutting off like one of the eyes. And
I pretty much dismiss him, and I look at his retinue. Is Miyuki with him?
No, it's just him. And he, when he meets you, he's like, Lawrence, is everything ready? He says, it has been a most tiresome journey.
Yes, everything is ready.
He says, then, take me, I wish to meet her.
And I just lead the way.
Okay. You are taken to a place just outside of Oxford, on the east side of town, an industrial estate. And it is a building of kind of steel and glass, which is quite out of keeping with the city itself, which is very much kind of old buildings. But this feels like a newer building, very corporate. You think there are multiple businesses that use it here. And you are brought in to a nice office. You're aware that your job is to do basically whatever Naoto needs you to do. And the businessmen that you've been dealing with will welcome you. There'll be handshakes and things, but they're not the real deal. But they will take you to an office where finally you will be presented to a woman who looks to be to your eye in her mid-50s. She looks somewhere there. She looks European. You think probably Italian. She has grey hair, which is worn quite long, and just very straight. She looks gaunt. She looks like, sometimes as people get older, they can kind of go plump or thin in a way, and she's definitely going the thin route. And there is an immediate difference in Naoto when they enter the room. He has not given a shit. As you've walked through, he's wandered through almost like it's his office building. And he's looked around, and he's been a bit like dismissive of everything. But when he comes into this room, he does straighten. He does actually make a bit of an effort. And you realise when he smiles, he's quite charming. He can be quite... and... He looks at you. She, by the way, stands. She's been sitting. There are some comfortable chairs here. It's kind of an informal office setting. She's not got a desk or anything here. There's a nice view.
Like a little meeting room.
Yeah, like a meeting room. There's a view out over the kind of the edge of the city, and the night lights shining. It's quite pretty in the background. She stands when you arrive, and approaches. She stands, and he smiles, and he looks at you and says, and kind of makes a little gesture.
Okay. Evening, milady. May I introduce you to Naoto of the Yamaguchi family, child of Takahisa of the Amago clan, child of Doran, child of Gaius Marcellus, child of Alexander, child of Ventru.
And he extends his hand, and she says, Meliore, and shakes it. And then there's a little twitch in him, and then she gives him a bit of an indulgent smile, and she says, child of Sir Enolf van Bassenheim, child of Hardestad the Younger, child of Hardestad the Elder, child of Eric Eigerman, child of Ventru. And then Naoto looks a bit more pleased, and he kind of makes a gesture for you to leave. And then she says, no, please. Mr. Penn, yes?
Yes.
He says, Sid, join us. Naoto goes and makes a gesture like, yeah, go sit, just sit down.
Thank you, my lady. And I sit down, actually lift a chair, put it on the side so I'm even out of the way, but still in the room.
So they sit. He's about to start, and she looks at you and she says, did you want a drink or some food?
I'm fine, lady.
And then she looks back to Naoto. Please. And he starts to talk. And he basically explains that there is this war situation. It's very much in hand. Everything is, it's just a matter of time before the Sabbat fall. And that, but they wish to make it it's an inconvenience. They want to make it swifter. She listens. Of course. And then she says, Mr. Penn, yes?
Yes.
They call you the Tiger.
Yeah, it's not exactly something I chose for myself, yes.
What do you think? Is this war an inconvenience? Is it nearly over?
I've been in the front under the instructions of my dormitory, and I do believe Amago Dono, Master Amago, has things in hand, but I agree with him in that it is taxing. And he would rather make quick use of allies in order to address the problem in a better manner. There used to be an old general who would say the best way to finish a war is to hit hard and fast, end it quick. I believe my sire wants to do that because it's been too long, and the people who are exposed are usually the people serving him. He's a kind master, an honorable one. He's taking care of us by asking for your help. But
smiles.
He's more than capable of drawing this to conclusion.
I would like you to make a charisma and persuasion roll.
Absolutely.
But I will make things a little easier for you from the roleplay point of view. So I'll give you an extra 2 dice.
Ooh. Come on. I will willpower it.
Yeah, sure.
So far, 3 successes. 4 successes.
She says, very well. We will talk terms. And so negotiations spin on. You're aware, uncomfortably aware, that Naoto's not happy with how this seems to be rolling. And she seems to be making a point of, like, talking to you. She's not exactly insulting him.
But the decisions are taken right after she speaks with me and not...
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you're also aware that because you obviously have your feet in both cultures.
Yeah.
You know that in Japan she's being massively rude by those standards, but in the West less so. She's just being slightly rude.
Yes.
A bit cheeky.
Very, very little. Very little.
Nevertheless, things go well, and there comes a point a few days later where Naoto will talk to you, and he says, things are concluded. You will go back with Meliore. He says, I have some more business to attend to here. He says, and it seems she would rather travel with you in any case. He says, take good care of her. He says, and I will see you when I return.
Understood.
He says, and I have not forgotten your behaviour over this time. And with that, he leaves you. So, you have a private jet that's going to fly you back.
Nice.
Which
living the life.
Yeah, well, it's been provided by Amargo.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't fly over quite in this style.
No.
But now he's laid it all on as a kind of a show of how much he reveres his guest and all that kind of business. So it is basically you and she are the only passengers.
Okay.
There's a stewardess who will be attending to you. There's a pilot.
And probably one attendant to help me with like her carriage or with her luggage or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Okay.
And there are people who load everything onto the plane at her end, and then he will have people waiting at the other end to do the thing. It's about a 12-hour flight, and much of that flight you're on your own because, of course, once it becomes daylight, there's a whole back section of the plane that has no windows, which is
like a sealed
blackened room where she goes to sleep, whereas you're in the main area where there's only a couple of seats here, and you have all the legroom you could ever dream of. And you have nice food, and it's pretty good. You were aware as well that you've been in, that whole trip to Oxford, the whole thing probably took 2.5 weeks, all in all. And although you've got a bit of time, you're aware that you kind of want to get back, get back to Amargo before things get risky again.
I talked to the stewardess and hey, this is really good. Can I have some, sort of takeaway later?
She gives you a wink. Of course. So you're there. You're feeling quite pleased with yourself in many ways. Perhaps your thoughts go a little bit to seeing Miyuki again. Perhaps they're going to...
What do you think the food's for?
I like it. Yeah, very good. Yeah, you think that's going to go down well.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me where's your attention as you're flying?
Right now? At some point, it's remembering her lineage, so I can introduce her to my lord in an appropriate manner. I would assume that I don't need to introduce Mago's lineage because I introduce his child.
Yeah.
So she should know immediately where he sits in that line.
Except you know that Amargo will expect you to do it.
Oh yes, absolutely.
You don't need to.
I will follow tradition.
He will expect you to do it just because that's his station. He should be properly introduced so that people can appreciate just how amazing he is. I mean,
I make a little list of things that I would like to help her with regarding Japanese culture.
Yeah, you're aware that she is not going to be an easy fit with Japanese culture at all. So that is a good list to make. Yeah. Can you make me a wits and awareness roll, please?
Mayday. No? Wits awareness.
Wits and awareness.
That is no successes.
So you're making your list, and it is only when you hear the door being opened to Meleore's cabin at the back by the stewardess that you think that's odd because it's daytime, no one should be going in.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the click.
Immediately. And I start walking.
So as you get up, they step inside the room, shut the door behind them. As you're approaching it, and you hear it click, locked again. What do you do?
Shit. I take my jacket off.
Yeah.
Kick the door because this is an airplane.
Yeah.
But I kick it not at the hinge, right next to the lock, so it can be re-shut.
Okay. So you rush to the door. You
Actually, into the lock, and I caught it. It's like
so you're taking your katana out.
Yes.
And you're cutting your way.
I'm not
door.
shooting in a plane. It's
Sure.
stupid. Don't make a hole in the.
So I'm
flying
going to
thing.
ask you to make a dex and melee.
Yeah.
Just to see, it's not so much whether you can do it, it's how cleanly and swiftly.
Yeah, because I am thinking this is probably airplane materials. Like the doors are flimsy and things like that. Nothing is like reinforced.
No.
So.
Although the airplane itself is a very nice plane.
Yeah, but it would still be like light materials because it's a flying engine. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
Okay, so you cut through the door and you step into the room. As you step into the room,
Immediately close it.
you start closing the door behind you. The stewardess has taken something out as you're coming through. It looks like a gun. She does not point it at Meliore. She points it to her right and she squeezes the trigger and goes and just sprays a line of bullets into the wall of the aeroplane.
Oh, shit.
So what happens is you immediately got through. What you can see, she's done it to one side. She looks like she's about to bring the gun over to the other wall, but she hasn't had time to do that yet. The moment she has done that, however, as you're stepping in, you close the door behind you and on like reflex. A number of fingers of sunlight shoot through, and Meliore, I should say, is in a bed. She's dressed. She's got a sheet over her, and that's about it. Immediately, beams of sunlight strike her, and we're going to make a roll for her.
Please, woman, have fortitude 3.
So, the first thing I'm making a roll for is to do with the fact that there is sunlight on her. Does she go into frenzy?
Shit.
The second roll I'm making for her is
This is getting ugly.
can she rouse herself to wake in this time of emergency? Okay.
Go, Meliore.
So, she immediately, where the sunlight strikes her... Oh, actually, hang on. I can make a reflexive roll.
Yes. Defy vein, yes.
So,
Go.
yeah, so it's just superficial. So basically, the sunlight strikes her and begins to hiss and burn. And her eyes flick open on the thing. They open in quite a wild, panicked way, but you have seen a vampire lose it, not lost it yet.
Okay, cool.
She has not lost it yet. What do you want to do?
Chop the girl's hand.
Okay.
So she stops firing.
Okay.
It's just, I imagine it's not a massive plane, it's just taking a step or two, lounging in an upwards arc.
I am going to make a roll for her to shoot. You are basically doing a block action.
Sort of.
But if your block action is very successful, it will have the added effect of having cut off her hand.
Yes.
Okay? But you're trying to block her. If you get more successes than her, you will stop her shooting. Anything over the excess of her successes will apply as damage directly to her wrist.
Cool.
Okay?
Willpower. Because I want more successes.
Sure.
That is 5 successes.
Okay. Her movement is quite calm and slow and gradual, almost dreamlike, as she moves her hand from one to the other. It's not like very rapid, dramatic. It's just like she's just been told to, just do that, like a paintball gun or something. As her hand drifts into position and she's about to, your katana comes down, her hand, the gun does not fire. But the stewardess does start to scream. Whatever weird state she was in has just come to an end.
I
She
just
screams,
like in the face with the pommel of the katana.
She goes down. Meleore makes a rouse check, passes, makes a rouse. So she goes.
She's good. She's good. Come on, Meleore. Come on, Meleore.
So, hang on, she gets a second. So, the next round, obviously the sunlight is still on her. There is some more burning. She makes another roll to see if she can resist. So, hang on a second. At the point at which the hand hits the floor and your katana has finished its cut, and you kind of knocked her down, the stewardess, who is kind of screaming and has lost it, Meleore's eyes change, and she begins to scramble away from the light. Of course, there isn't really many places to go. So the first thing she does is she tries to kind of go put the bed between her and the light, but it's just not enough. And she's pressing herself frantically, almost like she's trying to burrow into the floor, but it's not working. What's your immediate action?
But before that wall gives in, because of the difference in pressure, probably right now it's very loud, like.
It's very loud and noisy, but the wall is not buckling. There's a succession of very small holes in the wall.
Oh, so they're very, very tiny.
They're small bullet holes, yeah, and they were sprayed in a line.
Okay.
So they're not all close together. You can make if you have an appropriate skill that might tell you something about dynamics and planes and air pressure, you're welcome to roll it.
Helicopters?
Yeah, okay. I'll give you a helicopters roll with intelligence.
Okay. That is 3 successes.
Okay, so I'm aware obviously that Carlos probably knows way more than I do, but yes. In terms of what your character understands, you're aware that not only do you not think that there's going to be a problem.
As long as we go to a safe
you'll be fine.
Altitude, we will be fine.
The other thing you're aware of is that if you were to put something over the hole, it would just be sucked into place.
Yes.
So, what would you like to do? Meleore is currently trying to burrow through the floor.
I put my jacket.
There's smoke coming off her back.
I put my jacket on top of her and cover her.
Okay.
And pull the sheets of the bed all on top of her.
Yeah.
And I tell her, I will take care of this. Just stay here.
Okay.
And I try to take the mattress off the bed.
I would like you to make a strength and brawl check. Because the effort of covering her, a frenzying vampire, with these things.
Those are 2 successes.
Okay, so you take 2 points of superficial damage.
Ouch.
But they are half to 1.
No.
Yeah, they are superficial.
Oh,
even
superficial.
for mortals,
Superficial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she hasn't manifested claws or anything horrific. You get a few elbows in the cheek and stuff as you're trying to get the blankets on her because she doesn't know what you're doing. You're saying, "Oh, it's going to be fine. I'm going to be," she doesn't seem to register it. You do cover her with some blankets. However, she still seems to be taking some damage from the light. You're aware, and that just seems to only be throwing into more panic. And she stops trying to burrow, and this time she starts to run towards the kind of the back of the chamber, where there is still some light, but there is also a little bit of darkness still.
I try to put the mattress in that.
She looks like a weird kind of ghost. She's covered in a sheet. It doesn't look very dignified at all. She's rushing forward. So what are you doing with the mattress?
The mattress, I'm putting it to cover as many of the holes of the corner she's going.
Okay. So you cover the holes there, and the mattress is quite big. You cover enough to at least count this as obscured sunlight.
I start taking care of the small ones. Yeah, I take off my tie and put it in 2 or 3. If I need to, literally take off my shirt.
Yeah.
And put it in others. I need as many holes covered.
Okay. Eventually, you cover the holes, and she's hunched in a tiny sort of ball in the corner. But eventually, when the sunlight has passed,
I just go in front of her, I kneel in front of her, and try to calm her down and reassure her. It's okay, my lady. It's been taken care of. I will make sure another section of the plane is given to you for the rest of the day. I will obscure things outside. It's okay. Please, wait for me here. Calm down.
So you talk to her and you talk to her, and eventually the sheet is lifted up. And like I say, she's quite a gaunt. She's there's something about her that's quite intimidating, and actually you don't find her the easiest person to deal with, but she does look somewhat deflated from normal when she raises it. And she just kind of nods slightly brokenly, and grabs your head, kisses you on one cheek, kisses you on the other cheek, and then puts her teeth into your shoulder.
Yes, because why not have a snack?
You take 1 point of aggravated damage as she draws on you. And by the way, it's amazing. You haven't really been fed on very much, actually.
No.
But as you feel the sharp prick of pain, and then the blood starts to move, and then a kind of euphoria comes over you. And she just holds you tight against her, close, and you can feel her collarbone pressing into you. You can feel her ribs pressing into you. There's really not much beneath the clothes of flesh there. And at some point, maybe it starts to hurt, but you don't even really register that. It's just too good. But when she finally releases you, you feel lightheaded and you feel a bit wrong. You feel a bit like you've been out on the town and you've hit that point where you really should have gone home, but times 5.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, you are in a state to organise things, and the rest of the flight passes.
I try to go out if there is any other place in the plane. First I start like by shutting all the windows and turning off all lights and telling the pilot to drop the plane to a safe altitude.
You're aware, by the way, when you start going out, as you're leaving, she turns to the stewardess, grabs her, and sticks her teeth into her.
My lady, we need to question her. This is the veteran of the Sabbat War. And she's not my lord, so I will question her. I will put a hand on her shoulder. We need to question her. We need to find out who tried to kill you. Please listen to this.
All right, make me. I guess this is going to be manipulation. No, charisma. I'll give you charisma, and probably persuasion again, actually.
Okay.
Just to see if you can.
It's going to be pretty much impossible.
One success. Oh, you're going to burn that willpower.
Dude, this is
going to burn that willpower.
This is crippling me.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
You implore with her, and you just. I mean, it's also worth saying that there is blood pumping out the stump of this woman's arm. You realise after a while the pumping, instead of being begins to go and trail off as the blood is just sucked from this, and it makes you realise just how hungry Mary must be, and actually how much she didn't take from you.
Yeah, I shut up now and fix the rest of the plane.
You see,
it's very unsafe to fly like that with holes in the cabin.
Because there are burnt holes in her dress where obviously the sunlight and where that happens. You see the burn marks beneath them. They're only very they're not kind of the puckered raw flesh you're expecting to see. Actually, you've seen vampires on fire.
Yeah, I put them.
You've been there. You have been the one opening the coffins, right?
Yeah.
This doesn't look quite like that. This looks like light burns, pale skin, and you see them fade and the skin restore itself.
Okay, that's good.
So, anyway, the flight lands. And when you leave the plane and you go to the waiting car, and when you go from the car to see Imago, she will give you her arm.
Oh, okay, I'll offer her.
And she will walk with you.
I will let Imago Dono know. So when we land, it says I instruct somebody to call him and let him know what had happened.
Yes.
And I brief her of the premise. But I am hoping that this will help sort of grease the wheels. Like if Imago Dono knows that someone tried to kill her, he will be less inclined to take insult from her insulting like gaijin traits. But I will talk to her about the culture and how to
Yeah.
address stuff.
So
But
what follows is effectively a scene which we're not going to play through now, but just so you get a feel for it, is a scene where you are present between some of these negotiations, principally because she wants you there because she trusts you, but also because Amogadano's not great not speaking Japanese. Her Japanese is not great.
Okay.
There is a little bit of translation that goes between you. You maybe C-3PO it a little bit at times, just to make sure that no one gets insulted. But essentially, an alliance is reached.
Okay.
And as a result of that alliance, more kindred from the west come to Tokyo. And there are coordinated strikes against the Sabbat. And it does not take long for the war to end. When Meliore leaves, she thanks you for everything that you've done and assures you that you will not be forgotten. And you enjoy maybe a year and a half of relative peace going back to things. Maybe Naoto is slightly more horrible to you, but it's always in very gentle, slight ways because you're currently in Imago's good books. And he doesn't take it too far. However,
But it does bother me, so I start digging. Probably it'll get me nowhere, but I start digging on the stewardess and who was with her and what were intentions or motives would be.
okay, so the thing that you will...
I will try to investigate that, but I'm
Do you
not.
have any investigation?
No, that's the thing. That's why I say it will get me nowhere.
So the only thing that you will be pretty sure of is that the reports of the stewardess is that she was a loyal kind of worker. There was no sign. This was a very out of character thing for her. And based on what you saw and discussions that you have, you think she had been got to by some kind of other power.
Okay.
That she was not acting as herself or under her own will when she took those acts. How the gun got on the plane, how all that happened, remains a mystery.
Oh.
It is something Imago is very angry about.
I will keep bringing it up with Kido.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, old man.
He will be looking into it, but he doesn't turn over anything of use. So in the year and one line, Miyuki is very appreciative of the food.
Ah, okay. Good.
In the year 2000, you receive a visitor. You are summoned to Imago. And with him is, in fact, no, not with him. In fact, it's just him. And he says, "You have served long and well, and have risen high. But whatever your actions, you are Gaijin.
I know, master.
And though your spirit is true, here in this place, you will never rise beyond this station."
I'm happy serving you.
Yes. And I am happy that you serve. But there has come a request I am inclined to accept. It comes from the Tedescos. They have been of great service to me. And they have need of someone to serve them well. Not as you have served, but to be elevated into the ranks of the immortal.
I'm like really conflicted right now because this is somewhat what he has wanted, like to be his own. Not he wanted to be embraced, but he wanted to be like part of this, but through his own free will, but also because it's a means of trying to get Miyuki. So, but I don't want to stop serving this guy.
Whatever conflict shows on your face, if any, he does not react to. It's as if it wasn't there. And he says, "You will meet with Isabel Tedesco. She is the child of Meliore. She is the one that will claim you. You will serve her, and you will serve her well, for my honor.
Has this been already agreed, my master?
It has.
I will do as you say.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what he expects you to say. And there is a gesture. You are sent away, and
I remain.
yeah. Go. There's a pause. He says, you have something to say.
Yes, master.
In view of your service, you may speak.
Excuse my rudeness in this matter. You have been most kind. But I'm afraid that I wish not to insult you. I would just ask one more thing.
Speak.
Apologies for it.
Speak.
I would not wish to part with what has become a part of my life, living here in Japan, the culture, its people. And I do appreciate that Kido-sama is a very treasured person to you. But if someone would be sent with me, so I were able to speak Japanese with someone and have someone understand the ways I have adopted as mine.
You speak of Naramiyuki.
Yes.
She is bound to my child.
Yes.
This would cause a disturbance in my home. If I was to grant such a request, I would expect something in return.
Anything, master. I believe she would be a great asset to have. She will help me bring honor upon your name when we serve the Tedescos.
Now you are a man, but soon you will be immortal. And when you are so, you will be able to deal in the favors of the immortal. You will owe me a favor. A great boon.
Yes. Whatever that means. Yes, master.
And when the time comes, I will call it in, and you will serve me once more.
I will be looking forward to serving under your guidance.
This is a matter between us and us alone. No one will know of it.
I don't know.
Then I will make the arrangements. Go now.
And I just leave.
So, you of course are sent to meet with Isabel. Isabel does not look. There is a slight family. There is something like resemblance between her and Meliora, but it's not striking. She looks to be in her early 30s. She has, whereas Meliora has very kind of grey hair. She has black, quite braided hair. She's slender, but she's not gaunt. She's got quite dark blue eyes. She's very well presented. Everything seems to have been chosen very carefully. The way she sits, she's very neat. Whereas Meliora seems quite expansive, and she's not. She's much more kind of controlled and contained. And yeah, you will meet and have tea with her.
Yeah.
Although she will not be having tea herself. And she says, I understand you have been briefed on what is to happen.
Briefly, but yes.
She says, my name is Isabel. And I gather that your name is Clarence.
That's the name I used for many years.
Ah, that might explain why there are certain discrepancies
Definitely.
regarding your background.
And I've served the Amagos for a long time.
We will need to address those when we return to Oxfordshire. But for now, I want to think about you. When we return, I will be, as I'm sure you've been told, changing you. We call it the embrace. Do you know of the embrace?
Vaguely, but yes.
I understand that you have made a life here. And so I would encourage you to enjoy that life whilst you can. And as a gift, I will give you 1 month to do the things that you've always wanted to do as a man. You must understand that when this is done, you will no longer be able to enjoy the day. You will no longer enjoy many things as you did. I promise you there will be new pleasures, such that will surpass those you have now. But still, it is important to mark these things and to enjoy them. So, I encourage you to mark your life, and then we will return, where you will begin a new life under, I suspect, a new name.
Yes. Call me Theodore. That's
Theodore.
my real name.
Yes, I like that. I would give you one piece of advice in dealing with me, because we will have many dealings to come over the years. And that is that, providing you are respectful and you tell me of any problems that you have before they become my problems, then I will never judge you harshly for them. But I have very little patience with surprises.
Understood.
Then I think we will get on just fine. So, what are you doing with the last month of your life?
Dude, do I have access to Miyuki during that last month?
Yes.
I spirit her away and we go to Mount Fuji, Sapporo, Hokkaido. Like I do the tourist route.
Yeah.
Any place that she might wanted to visit or go back to, probably visit her, the places where she grew up or anything. Like we make it into like a mini honeymoon of debauchery. We're going like, like bullet train, 5-star hotels, everything.
So it's worth saying that you will be you will be financed for this trip.
Oh, better yet. Yes, yes.
Isabel will be like,
Enjoy.
here is money, enjoy yourself. You have a great time.
No, that's what I'm expecting.
It is debauched. You eat
Like an idiot. Yeah.
You eat like an idiot. You have the best time. You go into all these places. You do go back to the places that Miyuki grew up, but you never go to meet people because, of course, she's far too
Yeah.
But you go
she
to
had outlived everybody.
But you go to streets that she used to know. You go to restaurants or places where maybe it's been passed down from one generation to the next, and you eat there. And she'll maybe talk about whether things are better or worse.
Buy sake.
Yeah.
Like,
you get drunk.
The crazy like everything.
You don't see Naoto over this time at all. Indeed, he seems to be away on some business for Imago. And the time comes where that month goes very quickly. Very quickly, indeed. But it is a good time. And finally, you come to leave and return to Oxford with her. Imago will present you with a gift when you leave, and he says, though you may be leaving the Imago clan, he says, there will always be something of the Imago clan in you. So you'll present you with a gift in a small box, which is a matching set of earrings and cufflinks, which Each one is diamond shaped, the black with the white in the middle, and together they make the clan symbol. The earrings are ladies' earrings, and the cufflinks are men's cufflinks. So you have that as a thing, and you set off for your new life in Oxfordshire.
On the flight, I might mention to. No, I definitely mentioned to Isabel. I mean, I ask her questions about the stuff, and I think I do tell, even though I don't tell her the reason of the major boon, I will tell her that I do owe a major boon to Amago. Don't know. Most likely, I try to frame it in a way that sounds.
Okay, can you make a willpower roll for me?
Ooh, that's harsh.
Because he told you to keep it a secret.
Oh yes, forget about it.
So if you want to tell Isabel, you're going to have to roll against the bond. He wouldn't like it. And you're still bound at this time. No, you're not actually. The month is. You are still bound, but it's just.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the strength reduced. Or whatever.
Yeah. But it's still pretty awful. I mean, you've been bound to this guy for like 50 years. No.
Nope. I don't tell anyone.
You go to tell her.
He will go to my grave.
You go to tell her, but then you can hear Amargo's words in your head, and you feel the shame heaping upon you.
No.
And you don't.
I scold myself for even thinking about it, and then just drink another cup of tea.
And Isabel says to you the night, like when you're coming to the time of the embrace, when you're back in Oxfordshire in a very nice house, she will say, tomorrow night, I will turn you. She says, I would suggest, she pauses slightly, please forgive this. But I have noticed a closeness between yourself and Miyuki. I would suggest you spend that night with her. Things may feel different when we are done. And then she looks slightly embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like that was a terribly embarrassing thing to have said.
I do it. Like I follow suit the advice. I go early with Miyuki to probably have lunch somewhere nice and then spend the rest of the day and the night with her.
And there's a point you spend the night with her, and then there is like the next day dawns, and there is
we'll watch it together
sunrise.
because it's going to be my last.
You watch the sunrise together and you hold hands, and it is beautiful when you have the day. But again, it's a bit weird. You've had all this time where it's just been abandon and fun, and it's been like being a couple, and it's been beautiful. But now you feel that old tension, but for a different reason, and she feels it too. Like the sun's setting, like the ticking of a clock. And she says, she still calls you Ken.
Okay.
She says, Ken, so why does this feel like goodbye? You'll come back to me, won't you?
I will stay here. I will go nowhere.
You will be my white tiger.
You know, I don't like it, but I will.
You will like it because I like it.
I don't like that name, but I will let you call me that. I'm going nowhere. Things are going in a different direction.
She says, good. Can you make a manipulation and subterfuge? Just very quickly for me.
That is 2 successes.
You're not sure. Well, she looks at you. Nothing is said, but a look passes between you. Like, you know that things are going to change. She knows that things are going to change. But you wouldn't dream of actually saying that out loud.
No.
But she does hug you tighter than normal. And she does press her face against you. And then you walk to a different room this time to meet your new master. And that's where we'll finish.
I didn't die.
You didn't die. Well, you were about to. You're about to.
It was close. I mean, I got some damage, some of it aggravated.
So thank you very much for watching or listening. And you will get to find out what happens to Theo in
Door.
episode 1. This is going to be like the dog.
Yeah, it's Theodore.
You're going to find out what happens to Theodore in episode 1 of Blood on the Tamesis, coming soon.